Yes, I want to thank you, Kamar. Great job there explaining how things work from the hub or the head end side. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about the flexibility at the edge, at the endpoints. So one of the first things we can do for flexibility at the edge is grooming. So we can go ahead and, if you're sending the same stream out to multiple locations, each location, we can go ahead and change your channel name, channel numbers, and groom it for that particular location. We can also add and remove programs. A couple reasons you may want to do that. You may be sending most of your content out from a central location, but maybe at each local endpoint, you have some local content you want to add in. So we can add that local content in at the endpoint. So you also may have a situation where you have a bouquet of programs, but not every location is getting all. You may have 10 programs, but each location maybe only gets 6 to 8 of them. You can send the same 10 programs to every site, and then you can use the flex to go ahead and remove any of the unwanted programs. So you just have the one specific for that particular location. We can also remap the PIDs. That becomes very important, especially when we're adding there locally at the endpoint, because you may have a situation where your local content is using the same PIDs as what's coming from the central location, and we can go ahead and remap those so you don't have any PID conflicts causing disruptions on the air. Another thing we can provide flexibility at the endpoint is for edge redundancy. So the first way you can do that is with the actual flex units themselves. So you can have a situation where you have multiple locations throughout the country, and as the primary SRT feed, you're coming from the central location to the particular flex unit. But if for some reason it can't reach that feed, you can start looking at some of the other flexes which are in that area, and if they're able to receive the feed, we can pull from that flex and then still go ahead and rebrand for that particular location. And if you can't find another SRT feed, another option would be if your station is also doing an OTT feed up to a CDN, we can fall back. If we can't find an SRT feed, we can fall back to the CDN OTT feed. And in the worst case scenario, it may just be that the internet is down at your location. At that point, none of this internet is going to work. So in that case, you can also upload a file to the unit. It could be some evergreen content or just a slate which just spools saying technical difficulties. But the key is, even if there's no internet access, we still keep you on the air. So that's very important. Another flexibility we add at the edge point is EAS. Yeah, it's very important nowadays to be EAS compliant. And the way this works is we work with a digital alert systems box, and when they receive the alert message, they will create an audio file which they'll send to us along with the text of what the alert is. We'll take that, create a slate, add the audio to it, and we'll replace all the programs in the stream with the slate. But we also provide some flexibility where you may have gone and spent the resources to create a nice crawl on your .1, and you want to keep that crawl, you don't want to replace it with a slate. That's perfectly fine. We can pass that program through, but any fast channels you have coming in that you just want to get them EAS compliant, you don't want to go through a decode, re-encode, we can just replace those with a slate and allow your crawl in the .1 to go through untouched. It also adds a lot of reliability. In this solution, the digital alert systems box and the flex is right there at the endpoint. So we have a situation, the internet goes down, everything still works. We would go switch over to file play, we spool out the file, and if an emergency alert comes on, we just insert the alert message right over the spooling file. So you still stay on the air and still stay EAS compliant, also letting your viewers know of any emergencies which may be happening. And this can be very important in national disasters. There may not be internet, but you're still pushing out a signal and getting your EAS messages out. It's also a cost-effective solution. We've partnered with digital alert systems on a package where you get the two pieces combined. This is an exclusive D2D DASDEC package. And what's great about this is the combined package price is actually less than the average price of a fine. So instead of getting fined, get compliant. Another thing we can do at the endpoint is ad insertion. So first, just want to give a little bit of an update. Talked here last year about ad insertion. And we currently have about 25 to 30 sites which we're doing some insertion on. And at this point, it's mostly been PSAs. We've been working with third parties, ad exchanges, with trying to get national ads. And unfortunately, it so far hasn't caught on quite as fast as we were hoping. We do think one of the issues with that is just the footprint. We are working here at NAB trying to sign some station groups here to get that footprint up from about 25 to 30 stations to 150. I think that'll make it a lot easier to pull in nationals. But we also decided we don't want to wait for that. We want to start generating revenue now. So with D2D, we come from a technical background. And so we're able to get the technical part going really well. We're inserting the PSAs, all that looks great. But the advertising side has really not been our area in the past. So a few months ago, we went out and added additional resources to D2D, specifically to work on bringing in additional ads. We're still working with the third-party ad exchanges to focus on the nationals, but we also want to kind of start working on some of the things ourselves. And a few of the things we're doing is working with third parties to bring in PIs. They may not bring in a lot of revenue, but at least they have an opportunity. PSAs have no opportunity for revenue. And the other thing that the PIs will allow is for give you a little bit of feedback of how many people are actually watching. Then you can take that information and then potentially get the direct responses where they'll actually pay you up front for the same type of commercials. And also just gives more just data points when you're going after the national advertisers as well. And another thing we started doing to try and really get this ball going is looking at local ad insertion. You know, just kind of going back to the traditional way this was always done before. And we did a pilot a couple months ago where we just went to the Chamber of Commerce meeting in the Pensacola Mobile market and just presented this, kind of showed them that you can, at a reasonable price, get TV advertising. And we got a really good response on that. We're talking with multiple local businesses there, and we think probably sometime this month, next month, we'll actually be running local ads within that market. And as soon as NAB is over, we're going to start contacting all the chambers and all the other markets that we have units and doing the same thing and try and really start driving some local ads as well. Along those lines, I meant to bring some with me, but we do have some marketing materials that we put together specifically for people who want to advertise. So if you know anybody who may be interested on advertising on your station, or you have a contact at the Chamber of Commerce and just want to drop it off to them and let them spread the word, come by our booth. We have copies there. We can also send it to you electronically. Another thing we're looking at to increase the revenue opportunities is content diversity. In Jacksonville, it's just serendipity right there in the same complex as D2D. We were having lunch one day and we saw right next to where we were having lunch, there's on the sign on the door said Lit TV Network. So we were pretty curious, you know, what do they do? So we went over there, we met these two great gentlemen who run Lit TV Network. They're both retired pastors, and they're putting together a lot of great, high quality, positive message content targeted for communities of color. And we're really inspired about what they're doing, and we thought we really need, they're already doing a good job with OTT, but we thought it'd be great if we could start getting them actually over the air. So we started working, they're really interested in the Atlanta market. So we started talking with Dominique Castelli at Moonbeam, and they seem to really hit it off. So they're probably going to start going on the air in Atlanta this month. But we'd really like to start getting them on other stations as well. So if you have any interest in high quality, positive message content for communities of color, let us know. We'll get you in contact with them. And it works out really well because it provides you, the broadcaster, with content diversity. It lets them help get their message out. And then it also just provides more advertising opportunities, especially with it being a targeted market, where a lot of your big stations, it's all trying to be as general as possible. Well, this is where it's really appealing to advertisers who are looking for more, want to target specific markets. And then also like to talk a little about our D2 monitor. And what this allows you to do is monitor all these edge devices from one location. So if you have D2 monitor and you have a lot of stations, say 50 stations around the country, you just log into your monitor account, you'll see the status of all 50 stations in one location. And it'll also give you error alerts. So if for some reason the unit stops checking in or it loses the sync on one of its inputs, we'll go ahead and switch to one of these redundancies, to one of the other feeds, all the way to file if need be. But we'll get alerts so we'll know that that's happened and we can go ahead get the problem corrected and get your primary feed back on the air. And another interesting thing you can do with this is transmitter status. So you could do something such as using a just off-the-shelf ATS receiver such as an HD home run, and you just configure that to pull your station off the air, and you configure it to then send that over IP to the Flex. And then it just shows up as another input on the Flex unit. And in the event that your transmitter goes off the air for whatever reason, we'll lose sync on our input and give you an alarm. So even though the signal may have made it to us no problem over the internet, we pass it off to the XR and the transmitter, this will let you know if something farther down the chain occurred. This will let you know that yes, it is actually being picked up off air. And you could either just have thumbnails within monitor if you want to just look at it there locally, or if you have enough bandwidth, you can also use the Flex to bring the whole stream back to the studio for a full confidence decode. And that's all I have there about edge flexibility at the edge. And thank you, Frank, for having us here, and thank you, Kumar, for this great presentation you did. I really enjoyed working with you. And also thank you to the LPTV BA.